and welcome to the Pelican Sports Postgame Show. I am Tommy Krysan, along with Charles Barbary. He was so good last week.
We're number 14. We're number 14.
Oh, eloquently sung by Charles Barbary. He was so good last week, we brought him back. How are you, Charles?
No, good, Tommy. Thank you for having me.
78-70, your final at the Pete Maravich Assembly Center.
14-point first half lead they blew.
It was the 26-year anniversary of the 1991 SEC championship team. It didn't provide much inspiration, in particular in the second half. Tigers had a lead at halftime, 40-31. Second half, it goes south.
Like it's done all year.
Yeah.
The
lack of defense, no offense, and same song, different verse.
Yeah, I mean, what more can you say? I mean, it's been the same thing. The 10 losses in a row now?
11.
There's 11. It's 11.
10 in league play. You got the one with Texas Tech mixed in there.
Okay, 11 in a row. And they'll be, as we said last week, they'll be lucky to win another ball game.
Yeah, and tonight was one of those nights, maybe, because you played a little better Tuesday night in Lexington.
Arkansas had been down. They lost to Missouri last week.
And Missouri won today, which means LSU
is number 14.
Now has that lock on 14th. Well, you want to sing that again?
No, I think they got the point.
They got the point?
They got the point.
But anyway,
we're last.
And look,
we're in the cellar. We're the worst. Whatever you want to call it.
It's been a train wreck. There's no question about it. It's ugly. It's a mess. We got another TV on in here?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so we got 78-70 the final. Arkansas wins. LSU continues to struggle. Kind of same song, different verse. And I don't know what we can say that hadn't already been said. And the naysayers are there. The critics, much deserved, are there. Oh. And you just can't find anything good.
No. Well, Blakeney had a heck of a ball game. I don't know what his final stats turned out to be, but he was a double-double at halftime.
Well, I can tell you.
And pull up your face.
Blakeney ended up with...
Come on.
Do I breathe? Blakeney had 21 points. I got it. So 21 points.
10 in the first, 11 in the second.
Yeah.
And how many
21
rebounds?
Points. Rebounds for Blakeney, 12. I believe that's a career high. So he had a double.
He had 11 at halftime. So to go.
Second half's all Arkansas. And look, you and I were talking while we were watching the game going on the air, and everybody else here at the Pelican was talking. If I'm Mike Anderson, the coach of the Razorbacks, and we're down 9 at half on the road, I'm in the locker room saying, guys,
this is LSU.
This is LSU. They're beating you by 9. We beat them a couple of weeks back up in Fayetteville, took care of them. They've lost 10 in a row, guys. What are you doing out there? Think about what's happening here. Let's go correct it. And they did. Now, obviously, I don't know if that's what Mike Anderson, the Razorback coach, said at half, but that would have been my message.
He should have. I mean, LSU is a paper tiger. They're just bad. I mean, I don't like talking about it like this, but the fact is, basketball is a lost cause this year.
As you said last week, Charles, is this the worst team since the early 60s when they had a couple of really poor teams?
Oh, no question. I have to make a correction. Last week I said since Jay McCurry, but Press Maravich's team,
his first
year was 3-23.
Yeah, well, he didn't have his son yet.
Yeah, his son was playing freshman ball, so it didn't have it. So
yeah, and for those of you maybe a little on the younger side, there was a day when freshmen could not play varsity basketball, and people like Pete Maravich and some other guy named Lou Alcindor had to sit out when they were freshmen.
Exactly.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, obviously.
Yeah, so we had a chance to miss them for a year playing varsity.
Well, but Charles, see, now you were going to the games back then.
Yes,
I'm not quite that old.
I understand.
Okay. However, I've heard all the stories, including from you, how the John Parker Ag Center would be packed for the freshman games. And then
it would look like it would look like it would tonight.
And the buzzer go off, and you'd have 1,200 people there to watch the varsity.
If that much.
And of course, that changed when Pete, took over.
When Pete started, they filled the place up.
In fact, Charles, a couple of weeks ago was the anniversary of the night Pete hit the shot against Ole Miss that passed Oscar Robertson. Were you in the arena that night?
I was not. I was defending the Constitution of the United States 8,000 miles away.
Oh, okay. Well, tip of the hat to you for that. You know who was there? A mutual friend of ours was there. He was a sports writer.
I'm trying to well, I know Dan
We mentioned his name.
Dan Bournet was there. Yeah.
And I remember I did an interview with Dan. I did a feature with Dan. Long story short, I had to put a demo tape together years ago, and interviewed Dan about being in there that night. He was courtside covering the game and how Maravich
He was
missed,
covering for WAFB, if I'm not mistaken.
missed 7 or 8 or 9 shots in a row when he kept coming down trying to get the shot to pass the big O, Oscar Robertson.
Right.
And then finally the shot went in and all that. It was I thoroughly enjoyed talking to Dan Barnett about that.
He did that, and but Pete obviously is the greatest basketball player to ever live, not even close. And but back to this. I mean, this is pathetic basketball team.
So we got to try to find something else to talk about, Charles.
Sure, I understand. We're trying to.
And I think the people understand that. We appreciate you folks watching Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans. You got it on the smartphone with WUBR as we simulcast this. TV is repeated on Sunday mornings at 9 and 10. Also, mid-morning Sunday, it'll be over to the YouTube page, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcast. We put a lot of our stuff over there so that you can watch at your convenience. So, and
so what's the correction, Tommy? I mean, obviously, Johnny Jones is a fired coach walking. I mean,
right.
And I mean, so what happened? So where does LSU go?
I got to believe, I will assume that Director of Athletics, Joe Oliva, he's been working on this, making those phone calls, talking, whatever, and I would think he's taken some of the steps you have to take in order to change a coach out. And then when they're going to be in the SEC tournament because all 14 teams go. That Wednesday of the tournament week, I want to say March 8th or something like that.
Think they can lose worse than they did last year in the
Probably
SEC
not.
tournament? Okay.
Well, and so anyway, so then, shortly after that, I would expect an announcement, that there's going to be a change in direction with the LSU men's basketball program. I think the story will be if there's not a change in direction.
Oh, no question.
And Oliva would have to explain that to the fans.
He won't sell 500 tickets next year if it's
right.
not.
No, so, yeah, and he knows that. So, I mean, it's... You never say never, but I think it's 99.9% chance there's a.
So how do you go? Give me your editorial opinion on where do you go? You go to a Big Five assistant coach, or maybe do you go to a mid-level one of the head coach with the coach du jour, or where do you go?
Well, and really, it's the first time I'm being posed with this question, and I'll answer it like this. And we've talked about the different levels. You get the big money guy or the new guy. I think that, they got a stranglehold, with all due respect to Ted Nugent, on 14th place.
No question.
So, and here's the next thing, Charles. Other than Florida, South Carolina, and Kentucky, the SEC is nothing to write home about in basketball.
No.
So, the picture I'm painting here is it may not be as far to go as if this was some powerhouse conference with more than 3 big-time teams. So I would go out and get who I deem to be the next up-and-coming young coach, the Mike White, who's now down at Florida, that young guy out there that's paid his dues a little bit. He can recruit, and he can flat-out coach basketball. And find him somewhere in this country and bring him in, and then hope that in 2 or 3 years, because in basketball you get a couple of guys a year and you can compete that 3rd year. See if he can bring people in. LSU's got the resources, the facilities are better than adequate. Yep. They're not state-of-the-art, but they're better than adequate, and they've fixed up the PMAC significantly over the years. And you get this young guy in and you tell him, look, 3 years from now you need to be in an NCAA tournament. And if he gets there sooner, that's lagniappe. And you make a plan like that, because I don't think you can go get the Marshall guy from Wichita State who's been going to the tournament every year. Mm. Then you got a guy like that's got to come in and win right away, 2nd year max.
I don't know if he has to come in and win. I do agree with you though that you want to find somebody that can you need somebody that can recruit, that knows the people around the country. Knows that they'll have an in someplace to get some recruits, and not just locally, because right now basketball in Louisiana high school level is really kind of down. So you need to have somebody that knows the AAU circuit, knows to go out and recruit, and be able to do it. And if you can attract 1 or 2 good ball players to come in, and you can start making a tournament and everything, then you can start building on the program. But in basketball, it's easier, quote unquote, to do than the other sports, because all you really need is 1 or 2 superstars, and you can turn it around real quick. But it's a trick to get those superstars and to do it.
2 big-time guys, and you should be a tournament team, even if it's the NIT, the first one. Yeah. So we'll see. I have no idea what Joe Oliva is going to do. I really don't. His last 2 basketball hires haven't been necessarily great. With Trent Johnson and Johnny Jones, it has not worked. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And again, you hate it as an LSU fan to witness what we're going through, especially with an alum as the coach, and everybody was rooting for Johnny. But simple fact is, it ain't getting done.
And let me go on record for saying, look, I think I agree with you. Everybody's rooting for Johnny. Johnny's a good guy, okay? Purple and gold in his blood, played here, coached here for a long time under the legend Dale Brown. I mean, and I think everybody wanted it to work, but I think everybody now knows it has not worked, or it's not working now, and it's at a point where if you watch the game on TV tonight, you saw the sparse crowd at best. And they were honoring the 26-year anniversary of the SEC team that won the title. Shaq was in the house the whole bit, and his teammates. Johnny was an assistant coach on that team. So, you know, and it's just not working. So there's going to be a change, 99.9%. And if you were listening on the radio, this is my thing, Charles, and I kid with the guys at the Pelican here. When you're listening on the radio and you can hear those cheerleaders with their megaphones clicking on the ground, you know there's not a crowd. You know? That's always when I'm on the radio, I'm driving to the Pelican, I can hear the cheerleaders, go Tigers, click, click. I'm thinking, there's no crowd in the building.
There's not a lot of fan noise.
All right, we're going to take a break here in a minute. And then we're going to visit with Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com, who is on hand at the PMAC. He had to watch that in person. But, Charles, you walked me into something I want to make a comment about.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned
That's what I'm trying to do, help you out here.
You mentioned high school basketball. We know we got the select, non-select. We don't have to beat all that up right now or rehash it. I think that's one of the worst things that has ever happened to the LHSAA. Voted on by the principals. Let's point that out. And here
they kept it. They had a chance to do away with it.
One reason why it should have never happened, okay? One reason. The select, non-select basketball playoffs are about to begin. Girls first, then boys. In the girls' side of the basketball bracket, in one of the divisions, Vision High School in Monroe is the number 3 seed in the state playoffs. Number 3 seed in the state playoffs. Their record? 0-17. 0-17, and they're the number 3 seed in the state playoffs. That single factoid is reason alone to totally abolish the non-select select thing. That is an incredibly horrible message to the young boys and girls that play sports in the LHSAA, and I beg the principals to change this as soon as they can. Again, it's the principals, not the workers at the office. Speaking of the workers at the office, what were you telling me earlier?
Yeah, Bonine, it's a finalist for the job as a commission in Florida.
Yeah, he's among 3. He and 3 others. There's 4 finalists for the job, and Eddie Bonine's one of them.
And I mean, he called this a shipwreck.
Dumpster fire.
Dumpster fire. That's what.
0-17 in the number 3 seed in the playoffs. They should call a meeting. I know you can't change it right now. They should call a meeting on May the 20th, June the 2nd, whenever school's in, and immediately eliminate select and non-select. Principals of the LHSAA, that is the correct thing to do, in my opinion.
And the principals are all selfish, and they're voting their self-interest for their school, and they don't want to play the tough teams that are non-select. And that's
work hard and get better.
And that's as simple as the bottom rung.
Get yourself better. That's all you got to do, Dad. It's horrible. I'm a former student athlete in the LHSAA, as thousands and thousands and thousands of other people are. I coached in the LHSAA for a brief amount of time, and the organization has never been in a worse situation because of this principals voting this select, non-select.
I always use the example.
And they're in horrible shape financially because of it.
I always use the example. I grew up in the mid to late 50s and early 60s. LSU basketball was nothing. We were terrible. And I used to go to the games, and I loved my LSU basketball team back then. And I used to listen to Kentucky basketball with Kaywood Ledford on WHAS out of Louisville, and I would dream of the days that LSU could win the conference and go to a Final Four. And they finally did it, and they did it by building themselves up, not by tearing Kentucky down. And that's the way the SEC.
Perfect analogy,
and that's what you have to do.
Tip of the hat to Charles. Question: what was WLA?
WHAS.
When you were listening to those Kentucky games, could you hear the megaphones clicking by the cheerleaders?
Could not.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Could not.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, Brian Lazar, TigerBait.com. We'll tip our hat to Brian. He had to witness that game in person tonight.
Poor
We'll
fellow.
get his thoughts and analysis, and I'm sure Brian will be happy if we ask him about the LSU football assistant coaches or something like that. We'll take our first break of the evening. Gymnastics won, softball's 3-1, baseball starts next week, injury bug biting baseball, and plenty of football yet to come here on the Pelican Sports Post-Game Show. Charles Barbrey, Tommy Krysan, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans, on the internet at PelicanSportsTV.com. Stay with us. Acord Eye Clinic Vision Source is located on Perkins Road in Baton Rouge, offering full-service optical and lab work. Dr. Shonda Acord and the professionally trained staff pride themselves on service, complete eye exams, help with contact lenses, and selection of frames featuring Silhouette, Gucci, Jimmy Choo, and all the top lines. State-of-the-art equipment including OptiMap, which digitally photographs your retina. Call Acord Eye Clinic for an appointment, 225-767-3937. That's 225-767-3937. Visit the website, visionsource-br.com. All patients of all ages are welcome. Acord Eye Clinic, Vision Source.
Since 1986, the family dental practice of Dr. Farrell Frugier, with state-of-the-art building and technology, and our highly trained staff have been dedicated to providing care and treatment to our patients of all ages. The experience and advanced training in cosmetic and restorative dentistry, TMJ, and treatment of snoring and sleep apnea allows Dr. Frugier to assist you in achieving the best in dental health. Call us today at 225-292-9700 to schedule your initial evaluation because we know how to make you smile.
If you've been injured in an accident and you won your case, we can get you your cash fast.
I called Penn Funding and had my money fast.
If you're a victim of an accident, bad drug case, or any other legal settlement, Penn Funding can get you paid in one lump sum.
Instead of my small monthly payments, Penn Funding got me my money when I needed it the most.
Turn your small monthly settlement payments into one large cash payoff right now. If your case is settled, you qualify. And no one can get your money faster than Penn Funding. There's no risk, obligation, or out-of-pocket cost when you make this life-changing call.
I called, answered the questions, and received my cash payoff quickly.
Need cash for your children? To fix your car, pay the bills. If your case is settled and you're a victim of an accident, bad drug case, or any other legal settlement, it's your money. Call Penn Funding now.
Call 800-825-1325, 800-825-1325.
We continue with the Pelican Sports Post-Game Show on Pelican Sports TV and WUBR CBS Sports Radio.
14.
You see the score on your screen, Arkansas 78, LSU 70. That's a final from the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. And right now we go directly to the PMAC. Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com. Brian, hello, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing tonight?
We're doing good. Charles Barbrey and Tommy Krysan with you. Brian, a good-looking first half, up by 9, 40-31 at the halftime mark. What happened in the second half, Brian?
Arkansas hit some threes. Dusty Hannes made 4 threes in the first 7 minutes of the second half, and that gave Arkansas the lead at 50-46. And then LSU just, the rest of the way, was outplayed a little bit. LSU shot, they didn't really shoot the ball that well for the night. They only shot 39%, where 36% in the second half. Arkansas shot 54% in the second half. So it's a matter of putting the ball in the basket, and Arkansas did a better job, in the second half. As Mike Anderson said, LSU out-rebounded them by 20. So that's very rare that you get out-rebounded by 20 on the road and still win the basketball game, and that's what Arkansas did tonight.
Brian, did you happen to catch any comments from Johnny Jones after the game?
No, he hasn't had it yet.
Okay. All right, so 78-70. Yeah, you're right.
I just had a question for you. Reef looks like he probably had his best game of his career so far. How did he look, and is he improving, you think?
Well, I mean, he scored 14 points, but it took him 16 shots.
Okay.
So, I mean, it wasn't like, he had some of his troubles. He had a lot of rebounds. He had 15 rebounds, but he played okay. But his numbers look good, but he really wasn't a dominant factor in the stretch of the game when LSU was falling behind.
Well, and again, LSU basketball, same song, different verse. We're visiting with Brian Lazar. We're going to get him to tell you about TigerBait.com in just a few minutes. He's at the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. Brian, we shift gears a tad, if you will. Ed Orgeron fills out his coaching staff with Tommy Robinson and Mickey Joseph, two guys kind of already earmarked to recruit. Your thoughts on the hires and the two guys who were hired?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that those two guys were hired for recruiting purposes. Robinson's a new recruiting coordinator. He's got a lot of experience, and Mickey Joseph was hired to take care of recruiting in the New Orleans area. So you can certainly tell that those were the main reasons that those two guys are brought in, though I think Mickey Joseph has an important job because the wide receiving corps is rather inexperienced next year, and that they're going to have to perform well.
Do you think he's going to be held more in line for his recruiting, or more in line on how he coaches the ends?
No, he was hired for his recruiting.
That's what I figured too. That. Yeah, so I think that offense is going to has to do a lot more with Canada and how they're going to move things around. But yeah, I think the recruiting is the thing. In your opinion, what happened this year for New Orleans? They only got 2 recruits out of the city this year.
The city wasn't very strong this year. There were only 3 top 100 players in the city of New Orleans, and LSU didn't get any of them, but LSU only offered scholarships to 1, and that was at the end, the quarterback, Landry Walker.
Mm-hmm. He had already committed to state. And
he had already committed to Mississippi State. Swilling from Brother Martin, who went to Georgia Tech, wasn't offered, and Brad Stewart, the defensive back from McDonough 35, who is from who went to Florida, also was not offered by LSU.
Brian, a story that got a lot of legs this week, this alleged boycott in New Orleans. I talked to a couple of coaches that were involved with this, and that was much ado about nothing. Would you agree with that?
Overblown.
Yeah.
Overblown.
Yeah. I'm glad you said it that way. That's exactly the way I was told about it coming out of New Orleans down there. So, spring practice starts March 11th. The spring game will be at night on April 22nd.
On ESPN.
No, SEC Network, 7 o'clock.
Sorry.
7 o'clock kickoff. Brian, spring football is going to be a little more interesting this year. A couple of the main reasons why would be new head coach Ed Orgeron, offensive coordinator Matt Canada.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And look, they got a lot of positions where they have to develop some depth, particularly on defense. So it'll be interesting to see how the personnel works out during those 15 spring practices, which will seem like it'll last forever because it's going to last about over 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, though, because for the first time in years, LSU has depth at quarterback. It's going to be interesting. You got 2 youngsters coming in, and then you have 2 guys on the staff that played, and you still have a couple of guys on the staff that didn't play. So it'll be interesting to see how Canada treats these guys and what happens. The spring game, I think, is going to be interesting to see.
All right, Brian, tell us what's happening at TigerBait.com.
www.tigerbait.com. Plenty of coverage. Right now basketball, baseball will begin next weekend, and then we've got spring football coming up in less than a month.
All right, Brian, as always, appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Okay, talk to you guys later.
Thanks, man.
All right, Charles, your take on the football coaching hires.
Oh, I think it's obvious. It's recruiting. Robinson was the assistant coach of the year, a recruiter in the year out of the Pac-12, and he worked with Orgeron before over at Southern Cal, so they like each other. It's good, it's available. He has to mend some fences and get some things done up in the Monroe area. And then obviously in the New Orleans area, Mickey Joseph coming in. Talk about feel like you're getting old. I remember talking about Mickey Joseph as a player when we were on the radio way back when. So, yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, Orgeron has his staff put in place the way he wants now. And I'll tell you one thing I was surprised. We talked about last week on the show that Jaluk thought one of the reasons that he had been demoted, if you will, to administrative position was because we thought it might have been some personal reasons with his family. His wife has cancer, supposedly, I've heard, and stuff. But then apparently that wasn't it, because he hightails it till Texas Tech.
Yeah, back to Texas Tech where he was for about a week before Les Miles brought him into Baton Rouge. A couple of things on Tommy Robinson. You know, he was coaching at Southern Cal last year, and they won the Rose Bowl. That's big out there. I don't think we get a sense for how big that is because we're not on the West Coast. And
I would agree.
But when you're in the Pac-12 and you're in Los Angeles, USC, UCLA, that whole Rose Bowl thing, that's their Super Bowl every year, and especially since they've been out of the NFL and hadn't had a Super Bowl in forever, that Rose Bowl is huge. Well, just the mere fact that Tommy Robinson's a part of that, I think is good. Because that adds to his pedigree.
And also, I have to agree, Southern Cal. I mean, they took them years to get off of that probation through the Reggie Bush problem, and getting that done and get back and finally win the Rose Bowl, and to do all of that. Yeah, you're right. That it's hard for us because we're looking at the national championship playoffs right now, and yeah, people out on the West Coast want to win the national championship. But again, there's still something about winning that Rose Bowl game for them.
And priorities are regionalized. Like I remember reading a million times. I know you're not a fan of Bobby Knight, but it was as important to him to win the Big Ten title as it was the national championship because Big Ten, basketball country, all that. You know, that was huge. Well, winning a Rose Bowl if you're at Southern Cal, that's at the top of the list, and the only thing above that's the national championship.
I'll give you a good example about regional and rivalries and stuff. In 2002, I had the opportunity to go to a baseball game in Fenway Park. And they were remember, this was before the Red Sox won their World Series and their
before
pennants.
they got good again.
Yeah. But their thing wasn't to win a pennant. Their thing was to beat the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
Simple as that. They
were 18-0 against the Yankees every year.
They wanted to beat the New York Yankees. They didn't care about winning any pennants. Pennants was second to them and stuff.
Yeah, that's part of it. And now Mickey Joseph, I mean, he's there to recruit. He's there to recruit the New Orleans area. He played at Archbishop Shaw on the West Bank in New Orleans. He's from Marrero. It's all about recruiting. He knows the high school coaches. He played against many of them, played with some of them. He knows the area. They know him. And if I could take a stab at it, 90% of his responsibility is going to be recruit the greater New Orleans area. And that includes Slidell, Covenant, Mandeville,
probably up
North
the river
Shore,
parishes a little bit.
You know, get down into, Houma and Thibodaux when there's players down there. That whole area, with New Orleans being the center of the core there, then go get the best, recruit the best kids there. Because, as Brian pointed out, the quarterback at Landry Walker is going to Mississippi State. Right. Some say he's the best quarterback in the state. He is the best quarterback in the state of Louisiana this year, and he's among one of the best to come out recently, and LSU didn't even recruit him.
Yes, same situation.
I mean, they probably sent the letter or two, but they didn't work the kid.
Yeah, it's the same thing you have with Dak Prescott.
Well, Miles wanted to be a tight end.
Yeah, so basically.
By the way, he was Rookie of the Year in the NFL at quarterback. And Mississippi State got the #1 in the nation with him at quarterback and has not been close since.
Or before.
And won't be in the future.
Exactly.
I mean, that ought to be Dak Prescott Stadium, what he did in Starkville.
Yeah, and this kid coming out of Landry, they're talking about him being, at that stage of his career, being just as good, if not better, than Dak was.
He's 6'5", 225 pounds. Throw got a big arm.
So we'll see. And if he can beat LSU the way Dak Prescott did.
Or the way John Bond did, huh? Remember that?
I don't know. I don't remember that.
Yeah, you do.
I don't remember that.
No, yeah, you do. But for those of you who don't know, in the old Wishbone days with Emery Ballard at Mississippi State, If John
Early
Bond
80s, early
could have
80s.
played LSU every year, he'd have won the Heisman and the national
He won.
championship.
He was 4-0 against LSU.
And it wasn't
He
even
was
close.
4-0.
Yep.
And I always remember watching when he was playing, sitting in the south end zone behind the goalpost, and they ran a sweep of some kind. The guy just ran right to me for 80 yards.
Well, you know, I met John Bond. I was over in Atlanta at one of the SEC championship games and all the fanfare stuff, and I was with Alan Risher, and we were on the SEC's dime. And there was a function one night for the former players who were there on the SEC dime, and I happened to be able to get in somehow. And I sat and had beers with John Bond all night one night. Just he and I at a table, a couple other guys in and out. And of course, we talked about them before. He's the one that said, "Man, if I could have played LSU every week, I'd have won the Heisman, the national championship." He said, "I'd have been." Remember this? He said, "I'd have been the ABC TV Player of the Week every week."
Yeah, but
He's a good guy, John Bond.
And even though LSU is an LSU fan, you lose those 4 games in a row to him, and you don't like it, but you do remember it and you respect him.
Oh, yeah, well, he got it. They didn't do much else, but
No,
John Bond had LSU's number.
No, they don't. But back to this kid out of Landry and stuff. If he develops that, I mean, look, I said this last week, and I have a very high respect for our buddy Lazar, and I think Brian has said it for the last couple of years. LSU is not competing with Alabama right now. We're competing with Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Auburn right now to get back to that number 2 spot in the conference where we were. Those are the teams LSU has to start consistently beating, and then you can take care of Alabama.
Yeah,
and that's what's going to have to
well,
happen.
and I've said it countless times in the last couple of years, this is the recipe, plain and simple. You must win the SEC West. You must go to Atlanta and win the SEC championship. Then you get in the college football playoff with a chance to win the national title. You don't win the West, and all the other things are off the table.
Yeah, no question.
I mean, again, I'm stating the obvious. I know that, but that's simply put. And right now, you know, you're not near the top of the SEC.
And I would tell
West.
you right now, the game that LSU needs to win more than any other is Auburn. However, LSU and Auburn, whoever wins that game early in the season is the one that has the better season. And so LSU has to take care of Auburn. If they can do that, then they can probably get to the Alabama game with a reasonable chance of having some success.
We're going to take a break. If you'd like to give us a call, the phone lines are open at 225-928-4910.
This is February. We're
or
talking
send us
football.
a text message at area code 504-689-9246. You're right, it is February and we're talking football. But if the basketball team was on an 11-game winning streak, we'd be talking about that.
Yeah, but they're not.
They're not.
We're number 14. We're number 14.
Charles is song of the night. He's trying to climb the Billboard charts. Do they even still have Billboard charts anymore? I don't know, with the social media and the internet. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to tell you about Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, the boiled crawfish are there, and many other things. We'll tell you all about Tremonti's. Charles Barbary, Tommy Krysan, TV, Pelican Sports TV, radio, WUBR, CBS Sports Radio, Baton Rouge. You've got the Pelican Sports Postgame Show. Stay with us.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, a Formal Affair.
My name is Raven. I work at Debbie's Bridal, and she makes your dreams come true.
Perkins Road Veterinary Hospital is a full-service veterinary hospital committed to your pet's health. We offer advanced diagnostic and therapeutic medical services, laser surgery, dog and cat diets, and treats, along with stress-free boarding. Dr. Ritchie sees patients for routine checkups to keep your loved ones happy, also advanced medical and surgical cases. We have separate condos for cat boarding and large climate-controlled canine boarding. Our boarding dogs get to have fun in a very large play yard several times a day. Laser therapy is a service that we offer to heal wounds and help our patients that suffer from chronic pain. Laser therapy is a wonderful adjunct treatment for neurologic and arthritic pain with no side effects. Your pets are family members and deserve the best and highest quality of care. Dr. Ritchie and his staff greatly respect the human-animal bond and are committed to exceeding your expectations. Postgame show. Charles Barbary, Tommy Chrysan with you. Arkansas 78, LSU 70. That's your final score tonight. 2 road games next week for the Tigers. We'll be here 4:30 next Saturday with the postgame show. Jordy Hultberg expected to be back, but if Charles Barbary keeps filling in, maybe Hultberg won't be back. You never know. Maybe I'll put Hultberg over here and you over there, and I'll go do something, huh? No?
No.
Okay. We'll get Hultberg back. Hey, want to tell you about Tremonti's Meat and Seafood over on Jefferson Highway, just down from Parkview Baptist. The boiled crawfish are there every afternoon. Call them, tell them what you need. They'll make sure they have it for you. 751-7665. The website has all the information, tremontis.com. Daily lunch specials. They got the rotisserie chickens, the rotisserie ribs, which we ate on set the other night during Tigers Roar. They got all your wines, your high-end spirits, your ice chests, your coolers. They can cater. You're having a crawfish boil, they can set it up for you, boil them for you on site, bring them to you already boiled. You can pick them up live. You buy a live sack of crawfish, you get a free container of all you need to season them up. And, of course, all the great steaks and the meats and the meat case and the pre-prepared meals. Go to tremontis.com. There's so much more there than you think, including my favorite, the sprinkle spice seasoning you can put on and in everything you cook. Tremontis.com, 751-7665, Monday through Saturday. Boiled crawfish are going, among all the other things. Go see Mike and the staff at Tremontis, 751-7665, just down from Parkview Baptist School and Church on Jefferson Highway. Daily lunch specials. Go eat lunch. Check out everything they got. Or visit the website, tremontis.com. Charles, baseball season begins next Friday. There's actually free baseball next Friday at 12 noon between Army and Air Force. That's right. LSU will have the lid lifter on Friday night, 7 o'clock against Air Force. They'll play Army at 4 o'clock Saturday, Air Force 1 o'clock Sunday. But the injury bug has jumped up this week. Bryce Jordan injures his knee going after a pop-up in foul territory in front of the third base dugout.
Playing a third base to fill in. They
don't have another third base. It blows up his knee, out for the year. And then Friday during an inter-squad, Greg Deitman gets hit in the face. Last report I saw shortly before our taping, multiple fractures in the cheekbone area. Going to see a specialist Monday. More evaluation will be made then. And is he going to miss any action? One would think he does. We'll wait for LSU to officially announce that.
If you have multiple injuries in the jaw, I would think that he's probably out for the season. I would think.
Well,
but you think of a broken bone 6 weeks, but when you think multiple and what have you.
Well, and here's the other thing too. I've been around baseball all my life. I'm a baseball nut, and we can all we know these stories of guys getting hit in the face. Mm-hmm. Dickie Thon. Go back a little while, Tony Conigliere with the Red Sox a long time ago in the 60s.
Never heard of a guy named Herb Score?
Herb Score before Tony. So these guys get hit in the face, and they're never the same hitter. In fact, I don't think Conigliaro ever played again. Or not.
No, he played, I believe, but he
one year.
Yeah,
Thon tried. Dickie Thon, Astros tried for a couple of years, but he went from a 300 hitter to a 200 hitter, and it was just that whole thing of, can you get back in there? Can you dig in when somebody's throwing 90-plus fastballs in the area? So we wish nothing but the best for Greg Dykman. He preseason All-American.
And Bo get for his knee and to do that rehab and stay and everything. And obviously he played as a freshman, so he'll have, this is a red shirt year.
He'll still have 2 years left.
So he'll have 2 years left to play. But I'm sitting there looking, LSU has everything, all the dominoes are lined up for him this year. And then to start losing your number 4 hitter, Jordan, in the lineup. Dykman, I think, was batting, they had him set for the 5-hole, if I'm not mistaken. So you're losing the heart of your power right there in the middle of your batting order. Then you begin to wonder who's going to take their place, and then you're limited to this 35 roster thing that you have to claim before the season starts, which they already have. So LSU will be playing with 33 players this year.
32. They lost a pitcher early. So, and that's a rule that I think's bad. I understand the rule, okay? Back when Skip Bertman was a coach, you had 50 guys on the team, and sometimes you'd see a guy in May you didn't even know was on the team. He's out there. Eric Berthelot having an impact, okay? And I understand the reason for the rule. You got 35 guys, because if you play for 4 or 5 weeks and some guy's just terrible and you say, oh, no, his back's hurt, we got to get rid of him, and we're bringing in this guy to take his place, and coaches would do that.
You're kidding.
That's the intended rule. But if you're Bryce Jordan and you have knee surgery and you're out for the year because your knee got blown up, then go look at the x-rays and the medical reports. You should be able to replace that guy. Or a Dykman, if he gets hit in the face and has multiple fractures in the cheekbone area, okay, he is hurt, okay? If you can medically document it, then you could have an independent doctor rule on it if it's something that's close. I think you should be able to replace those guys.
I don't disagree with you.
It's a bad rule.
The NCAA is stupid when it comes to baseball. Don't
get me started.
You already started. There are a number of archaic rules, mainly the limit on scholarships. What is it, 11.7?
11.7, which is what it was when I played.
Yeah, and stuff, and then you got 35 players that you have to try to dish out 11.7 scholarships to. So some of the matter with the math there.
And in LSU's case, and the state of Georgia, which had a program that mirrored TOPS, not having TOPS is going to affect LSU over time.
Yeah,
in baseball.
Yeah, the TOPS being reduced on the. They still have it. It's just being reduced.
It's a horse of a different color now.
Yes, and stuff. So that will be interesting to see how it will affect the baseball team. But right now, LSU, they can do anything on the way of offense. And fill those 2 big holes in the middle of their lineup. It's not going to hurt them defensively. Neither one of those were Gold Glove guys, but it will hurt them in the batting order tremendously in the heart of your batting order. So if they can overcome that, college baseball is still a pitching thing. Their pitching's loaded with Lang and Poche, and whether it's Walker or whoever it is turns out to be the number 3 guy. You're still going to have Newman coming in out of the pen, and all these guys. LSU is loaded. They should still be a national contender.
Yeah, and the LSU team has made it clear it's Omaha or bust. I mean, they don't want anything less
Preseason,
than that.
they're co-number 1 with Florida in the SEC, and that's probably accurate.
Yeah, the SEC is very good, again, as always. So, and LSU's series with Florida is in Gainesville this year, late March, I want to say. So, anyway, we'll see what happens, but looking forward to the baseball season starting.
Yes.
Some of the, Baton Rouge Community College has already started. Delgado has already started.
Softball started.
Softball's underway. The D1 baseball, that's the blanket open date. I mean, Southern Jaguars and Roger Cato will start. They're expected to be better. Of course, LSU, Southeastern Nichols, UNO, Blake Dean's got them fired up down there. Tulane has a new coach. ULL and Tony Robichaux's ranked in the country, the Raging Cajuns. I saw some pictures today. they're finishing the remodeling of their stadium, Teague Moore Field over there. It really looked good. A couple of pictures I saw posted today as they're cutting it really close, getting it ready, but they'll get it ready or it'll be close enough and then they'll finish it. So should be, as always, a banner South Louisiana for college baseball, and don't forget Louisiana Tech is pretty good as well.
Yeah, no question. While we think about former players and stuff, don't forget that Bregman and the guy from ULL.
Jonathan Lucroy.
Lucroy.
Are both on Team USA.
Say, right, for the World Baseball Championships.
Yeah, so don't forget
so
that.
That should be cool. And my Astros look pretty good this year.
Your Astros, Charles, you might get that World Series you've been waiting for. You finally got a football championship after 58 when you were there for that.
Right.
And
I saw the Saints win. I saw the Saints
win a Super Bowl. I think you got a shot to see your Astros win a World Series.
I think they have an excellent.
I mean, if the Cubs can win, anybody can win.
Amen. I agree. I agree. I think the Astros have an excellent chance of winning the division and getting to the playoffs.
And Alex Bregman going to be a key cog in that.
I mean, you look at Carrera at shortstop and Bregman and Altuve at second. Bregman's supposed to play third. I mean, that is a young nucleus for your ball club. And they're all good ball players, and the potential is there for all three of them to hit 300.
And one of the old cliches, I'll send a message to all you youngsters out there who might not be the biggest guy in your school picture or on your team. Check out Jose Altuve, who's one of the best players in Major League Baseball.
Won the batting title last year in the American League.
One of the best players in baseball. That dude ain't 5'7". 5'7", maybe with his cleats on the concrete.
I was thinking 5'5", 5'6".
With the cleats on the concrete, he's 5'7".
He's also one of the best base stealers in the game.
So, that old thing, you don't have to be big to play baseball. There's a perfect example. So you youngsters out there, even you girls playing softball, maybe you're not as big as some of them. Just keep working hard. You might get there.
No question. My Astros this year, the thing that they're going to be good at. Last year, they played with only a five-man batting order. The bottom four people in the batting order didn't hit 200. This year, they'll have a batting order that goes all the way through 9, and that's going to be the big difference.
And being the Astro fan, I'm sure you were glad to see Jeff Bagwell get the phone call from the Hall of Fame.
I never was. As I've said before, I was kind of on the fence about whether I thought he should get in or not. But being an Astro fan, I am glad he did, and everything. I personally think he took the juice. Yeah, so I mean, I looked at his body. I mean, but simple fact is that you can't prove it, and it's getting now where it looks like Clemens and Bonds and those guys are maybe getting a few more votes for Hall of Fame. You never know.
They're not close, and they're not real close. But and of course, Bagwell will go in along with Tim Raines and Pudge Rodriguez.
There's another one.
All three of them. Well, Raines admitted to doing cocaine in left field during a game. So I mean,
yeah, but that's not
it's an illegal drug.
Yeah, but it's not an enhancing.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
That ain't going to help his plan.
I couldn't tell you that.
That ain't going to help his plan.
He did in left field though, and he's in the Hall.
Hey, what else are you going to do in left field during a ball game?
He was fast enough. He can still go get the ball. Huh?
Good.
But anyway, hey, we're going to take another break. We'll come back. Keep kicking some things around here on the Pelican Sports Post Game Show. Next Saturday, 4:30, when we hit the air.
Only post-game show that doesn't really talk about the post-game.
Well, no, we just
that's terrible.
No, when we sat down and put this thing together during the fall, we said, well, you can always talk LSU football.
Always.
Gymnastics is going to be very good. Baseball, softball are going to be very good. Golf team, we said, there's more to talk about. Okay? I'll be honest with you. In one of the meetings, okay. And when we were putting this thing together, I said, basketball's going to be terrible this year. They're going to fire Johnny Jones. I said, well, maybe that's
I figured they'd win 4 conference games.
But, so it's, and not that I was some genius there, because everybody kind of felt that'd been following it. So we designed this to talk about all of it.
Good.
Okay?
I'm glad.
Spring post-game show. It's not basketball post-game show.
Okay. I'm very happy to hear that.
Well, I'm just, I was in the meetings. I remember we talked about all of that stuff. If we can do it, let's do it that way. Because again, everybody wants us to talk about LSU football. One of the reasons Tigers Roar, which will roll into its 11th year, is because people in Lafayette, New Orleans, Cox Cable, AT&T, Uverse, through the internet now, they can get some LSU football 2 hours prime time on a Wednesday night. You can't get that nowhere else, okay? So in our post-game show, is very popular in all those markets. Lafayette people call and text. New Orleans people call and text. It's got its footprint in the sand, and that's why we decided to move this thing into the spring to try to just keep giving out information that people want.
And I also want to put in a plug right now. If you're red, white, and blue like I am, and you plan on going out to the LSU baseball game for the opener Friday, if you got an opportunity, take a little time off in the afternoon on Friday, go watch the Army Air Force game. They've got the two military academies. They have a rivalry, and I suspect that'll be a pretty good ball game and pretty interested and support the military academies. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's really cool the way the new coach at Tulane and Paul Maneri did that. Tulane was supposed to play Army. LSU was supposed to play Air Force. And Paul Maneri was once the Air Force coach.
Right.
And they were on the phone.
And they were here a couple of years ago.
They were on the phone a couple months ago, and they said, why don't we swap opponents on Saturday and let the fans in both cities see both Army and the Air Force as they come in, and we'll make it a fun thing. So that's how all that came to be with, LSU having Army in on Saturday. Army and Air Force will play at noon Friday at Alec Box. It's free entry. You can go out there and watch free admission, I guess I should say. You can go out there and watch the game and check out. That'll be the lid lifter of the whole college baseball season. And then, of course, when Army will play Tulane on Friday and Sunday. Air Force, while LSU's playing Army on Saturday, Air Force will go play Tulane. So it's really cool. And like you said, go red, white, and blue. A lot of military appreciation things going on at Turchin Field and at Alec Box.
I do remember a couple years ago when Air Force was in here, and they had the coach owns a C-130 airplane that they used to have the batting cages in the plane. They would take batting practice while they flew. I always thought that was the coolest thing.
A good friend of mine's son, he's an Army graduate, his son is going to get to be the ball boy for all 4 Army games this year. He's from Baton Rouge, and you get to wear the uni, the whole bit, the Army hat, and be a bat boy for the baseball team. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back and put a wrap on it. Once again, in case you missed it, Arkansas 78, LSU 70. That's the final from the PMAC. Charles Barbary, Tommy Chrysan. Pelican Sports TV, WUBR, CBS Sports Radio, Baton Rouge, and all over the world on the smartphones, the internet, and the tablets.
All over
Stay
the
with
world.
us. Accord Eye Clinic Vision Source is located on Perkins Road in Baton Rouge, offering full-service optical and lab work. Dr. Shonda Accord and the professionally trained staff pride themselves on service, complete eye exams, help with contact lenses, and selection of frames featuring Silhouette, Gucci, Jimmy Choo, and all the top lines. State-of-the-art equipment including OptiMap, which digitally photographs your retina. Call Accord Eye Clinic for an appointment, 225-767-3937. That's 225-767-3937. Visit the website, visionsource-br.com. All patients of all ages are welcome. Accord Eye Clinic, Vision Source.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help. And the Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage of substance abuse. Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Are you losing hope? You can recover and get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares.
Call 800-383-8177. 800-383-8177.
DLA Painting Incorporated is your company for professional painting, serving the greater Baton Rouge area and South Louisiana for over 20 years. Ready to paint for those recovering from flood, residential repaint, commercial painting, any size job, free estimates. Customer satisfaction is our highest priority. Call 225-505-8785. DLA Painting Incorporated, fully insured. Call Dennis at DLA Painting at 225-505-8785.
Since 1986, the family dental practice of Dr. Farrell Frugier, with state-of-the-art building and technology, and our highly trained staff, have been dedicated to providing care and treatment to our patients of all ages. The experience and advanced training in cosmetic and restorative dentistry, TMJ, and treatment of snoring and sleep apnea allows Dr. Frugier to assist you in achieving the best in dental health. Call us today at 225-292-9700 to schedule your initial evaluation because we know how to make you smile.
WUBR Radio, CBS Sports Radio, the TuneIn app. It's free. Home of Jim Rome, Jordy Hultberg, Buddy Sanji, myself, Dave Scandaliato had a bang-up show yesterday. Carlos Brown on Saturday mornings through the night. Louisiana Music Hall of Fame Radio and select Houston Astros games coming up this spring. Right here on WUBR. Spread the word. A lot of local and national stuff. And a lot of experience with all them guys up there. So check it out and tell other folks about it. WUBR. Charles, as we put a wrap on it, again, 78-70, Arkansas wins. Enough said about that. You had another topic you wanted to hit up on.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting this week that Steve Sarkisian left Alabama after being the offensive coordinator for one game and wound up over at the Atlanta Falcons and doing that. And to my knowledge right now, Saban hasn't hired another offensive coordinator yet. It's going to be very interesting to see how that goes and who he's able to get and how that affects his offense and his quarterback situation with Hurts.
Well, they again had the #1 recruiting class in the nation, according to the pundits.
So what else?
So if you have players and they've won the last 3 years with 3 different quarterbacks, I think they're going to be all right.
I'm not suggesting they're not.
Okay.
I'm just suggesting it's going to be different. It's going to be interesting to see because obviously Lane Kiffin did a heck of a job with the quarterbacks. He had 3 different quarterbacks in 3 years, and he won with
3
all.
conference titles.
Won them all. So yeah, can they do that again? It's going to be interesting.
But am I correct that what you're saying is this may be the beginning of the crumbling? If 3-4 years from now they're not kings of the SEC West.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, see how all this
everything cycles. You know?
No question, no question. I remember
they're not going to stay up there forever.
You would hope, no, I think that somewhere down the road you're going to see it, and you're going to have to. It's one of those things you're going to have to look back on and say this is when it occurred, but you're not going to know exactly when it does. Is Alabama going to be favored to win again? Of course they're going to be favored to win again, and I'll be surprised if they don't.
There you go.
But again, it'll be interesting to see if their philosophy changes on offense and see how they play and what goes on. There are going to be a lot of things to look at in this coming football season. Going to be very interesting.
Well, Charles, it's been a lot of fun, in particular the last couple of weeks. Usually when you and I have been here in years past, I was sitting there, you sitting here. With
I'm still not used to
your
that.
long run with Sports Talk TV, and appreciate you coming by. And we have your phone number and your email address, so we may hit you up again.
I appreciate it.
Especially in baseball. I mean, you're going to be at most of the baseball games eating free hot dogs.
Of course. Look who's talking. Look who's talking about going all ball games.
Hot dogs just taste better when you're at the ballpark.
No question.
Something about it, right?
No question. Besides that, it's all LSU ever serves. So,
and 6-month-old popcorn. But anyway, enough of that. Charles, thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate you folks watching on Pelican Sports TV and listening on WUBR. He'll sing you right. He'll serenade you right out of here. Next Saturday, 4:30. Pelican Sports Spring Postgame Show. Charles Barber, Tommy Chrysan. Good night.
14.